Johnny, be good. It's me again. Yeah, it's already the next day in the middle of the morning. I mean, it's dark out, it's raining. But this is a final update of day four's videos. I got the starter out. It looks okay. I don't see no grunge, no nothing. Um, Maybe the solenoid's just not. I don't know what's going on. Something ain't working. But it's a hard starter to find. It's going to be a real hard process to find one. They're talking having one shipped from a warehouse in the East Coast and me getting stuck with freight. And another way out it can go too, though, is through Napa you can get the parts to rebuild it. The bushings, um, the little arm that makes the thing move, the gear, the nine hit, I mean, you can get all of the parts you need, new brushes, you can get everything you need to rebuild it. They're date coded. It's the actual original starter. I cannot believe that, but it is the original starter. Date wise, yes, matches. So, um, I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to give it up as a core because I can always get the parts and rebuild it, but I'm going to try to get one that I can just stick in and turn. I can get one through AutoZone, already ready to go. We're going to check it out. We're going to find out. But that's my update, and I'm in the process of combining these videos into one video for each day, and eventually they'll be labeled on one video. Bye. Hey kids, it's me again. Check this one out. Rebuilding the carburetor. Floats are already set, new parts are already in, new gasket. Underneath here, ball bearing and a spring. New spring in the kit, 1/4 inch longer and flimsy. I went ahead and used the original. I don't want to change, the spring. It looked fine. The ball, it was a little corroded. I changed the ball on both the balls. There's one in here, down underneath this one, underneath your main meter and jet. There's a ball down in there. All right, so that's that. Don't want to dang the floats, man. New accelerator pump, works great. There's a T-bar pin, goes through a spring into another ball. The one that I pulled out, the spring had been crushed, the ball was stuck to it, and the corrosion down in there. I had to deal with working that. Little paper towel, some carburetor cleaner, got in there, kind of, with a little screwdriver, moved it around, cleaned it up a little bit, put a new spring and ball in. I used their new spring because obviously the one that was in it was no good. But totally good and clean, ready to rock. Jet, fantastic, never been crimped down, so there was no grooves in it or anything. Cleaned right up, set perfect, man. The way, it'll work. It'll work. So, what we're doing now is we're going to reassemble the carburetor, just a few nuts and bolts. But I also had to do something to this. This is a little tricky, because this is a tricky part. This little piece rocks around in here, and there's supposed to be a pin on each one of these that goes into a little pinhole on the backside. Well, this has been ripped out, and this is what holds the air filter on. So in a matter of seconds driving down the road, the air filter flies off because there's nothing to hold it. So what I did is I took some baling wire, made my own little loop around pin, put it in, and then looped it with a tie on each side that doesn't interfere with the airflow. See, so the airflow is still on the sides. Nothing is really interfering with the way that is going to work. It hasn't closed it off at all, and it's solid. It's my own little fix. And, I wish it was spring steel, a little spring, little thing, but I tried to knock the pins out. The pins wouldn't even go down any farther. They were physically forced out of there by somebody who thought he was brilliant. I thought it came out, obviously. He didn't realize what he was doing. But real tricky piece. Real tricky. This is a specific carburetor for this engine. So we're going to go ahead and put her back together. Gives me something to do while you're watching. He's masturbating, maybe. I don't know. I couldn't tell. But we're just going to eyeball our hole so I know that I'm not crimping my float too bad there. And then everything will just slip right on down. Bingo. Now all my screws and everything are over here, along with the parts that I'm not going to use and the parts that I am going to use. Now, like, this is a new gasket, goes to a different carburetor than this one. See, now I had to set the floats with a little funny ass tape measure gauge they give me. Got that all right. I pulled out my parts. There's a whole bag of parts that goes to the other styles of that carburetor. These are supposed to be throttle gaskets. I'm not going to use this one. I'm just going to go ahead and reuse the one that's on it. It's got a metal O-ring on it. Hard part to find. I can touch it up where a little bit of the material is missing and it gets down to the metal core. You get some of that ultra heat temp black Permatex, real super thin coat. It won't leak. It'll do its thing. I've been doing these things, man, for years, these kind of carburetors. So all we got to put this back together is 4 bolts. We got a new needle and seat in, so everything's, and the newer kits, the material that the needle and seat is made out of, the needle itself has a little rubber end, and it's supposed to be ethanol compatible. Where's my lead? Give me my lead back. But yeah, and then after we do this, we got another little handy thing we're going to do. I'll reach over and grab it here because this is another little handy thing. You use this, and y'all seen it before when I was working on my RV. It's a brake bleeder tool, but it's also a vacuum line tester. And I'm going to test my vacuum advance on my distributor. This type of vacuum advance is different than your standard vacuum advance. Your standard vacuum advance will move what's known as a plate that's in the bottom there that if you wrap points, they would be bolted to. If you have electronic ignition, they would be, all that stuff is bolted to it. And what it does is it advances the plate so it changes how the spark goes. So, you're either advancing or retarding the spark. And with the type that I have, it don't do the plate. It moves the whole distributor. You can actually see it move. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to test it, because it has not been used in so many years. The diaphragm in it might be bad. If the diaphragm in it and it doesn't want to work, if it doesn't want to work when I do my thing, it didn't work when the man parked the truck. And that would explain why the spark plugs were as black as they were. They would be pedal to the floor and not getting no guts out of it. And so he'd just be flooding it. And he had the carburetor out at 2 1/4. Paperwork says 1 1/2, but you can start with the 1 1/2 and you fine tune it. It's just your idle adjustment, your air fuel mixture for your idle. And that's the only time that little jet on the side over here, this little thingy right here, does anything, is add an idle. The rest of the time, man, you get your foot on it. So it's drawing all its gas directly out of the carb float bowl. And then when you go like that, it's got this little, one of these is called an accelerator pump. It goes, so there you go, man. I'm taking advantage of this nice day, man. It was supposed to really puke, but it didn't. And so I just love these screws that are just so tight that you don't know if it's really going or not. But I know it's going. They're just really long. And of course we got one here that's in a can. Now see, I got a whole bunch more stuff. After I get this lid back on, I got a whole bunch more stuff that has to go on. We got, where is it? One more. Now this one more, I'm going to leave it out until I'm done playing with it because it holds the very vital piece, the tag that tells you what the carburetor is and what it goes on. It goes right here. It's already starting to push through. I might have to switch to a bigger washer because it just might not want to stay there. Yeah. But I can, kind of. Go to a bigger washer. But we're not going to mess with that one yet. That's the last one we're going to do. But I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the can. We're going to leave these loose because we don't want to crimp anything down any tighter than the other side, right? Than the one that's missing. We want to make sure that we got, a little movement. Just enough because I'll do my final tightening after it's bolted down on the car. On Johnny Be Good. So what I'm seeing is screws up, close enough. Now we got that going. Here's our other little trick. Now this is your float bowl. I got to be careful not to hurt that. But in here are parts. Parts. We like parts. Oh, that's for the float bowl. That's a really cool little old style thing, And what I mean by float bowl, glass, baby. Glass. New filter. And handy spring. Oh yes, and handy. Now they give you extra clips, but these clips are fine, so I'm going to go ahead and reuse these clips. That's the rod that makes it work. And this is the screw that holds it all together. Okay, now, you take this little thing here, and this little funny ass spring here, and it's got to go on a certain way. And what I mean by a certain way is it goes here, and this little thing here catches right there. See how it catches here? And this little thingy, it's going to go on. Now see, there's a clean side and a dirty side. The dirty side is the side that I didn't want to clean as much because it's the side that's proving that it has so many years of work. Now you catch it like this. See how I did that? You swing it over. You're on, but you got to be on the back side of this thing. So you got to come back behind. Now let me get her on there. It'll go. Come on now. You can do this. Now, we're on the back side of the throttle. This is your choke plate. Alright? But it's also where you get this down enough, this thing here. See, now that's where we got to get our screw on. Alright, so we're going to get our screw on. I got to be careful of that float bowl. Once I get the screw started, make a few turns. Now I can line this thing up because it's not totally on the piece. It will be though when I get down here. You screw it down. Give it a little rocky. You see, we're going to already be right where we need to be. Take this handy screwdriver. And just make sure that you got her where you want it. Yeah. Seems to be springing pretty good for super old spring. Now that we got it to spring, we got it to do its thing, see? It also seated it where it belonged, so I was able to put the screw down some more. The screw ain't gonna come off there now. Now, see, that's the way it goes. This is your throttle, right? It'll supposed to kick it. Yeah, I still kind of wonder why. Huh. That got me kind of fused. It really does. Let's see what we got going here now. Yeah, it works the choke. See, that's all it is, the choke. It'll kick the throttle open. The spring and everything else will put it back where it belongs when the choke is fully open. So that tells me that when it works the throttle, it's pushing it up from down below. It's not pulling, it's pushing. 283 V8 would pull. That's what's been throwing me off with this carburetor. I keep trying to go the wrong way with it. But now I got it all figured out. But I got to get this little arm on. And this little arm is this little thing. Voila. So we're going to work on that. And once that's on, that'll work the accelerator pump. And they're really tight clips. Don't want to lose them. Bingo. Get it down. Use your finger in case it's magnetic. Don't want it to drop in the mud. Step on it and not find it. See it? Watch this. Finger, let go, still on table. Might be magnetic, you never know. Well, we can go two ways with this. I think it goes this way because you'd never be able to get the clip in. Now see, we're through the little hole. What am I on here? I'm gonna show. Through the little hole of the rod. See my little finger, my thumb's back in there. The little rod, and now it'll come through this side of this rod. And to make it work, you got to pull the accelerator pump down a little bit, slip it through. It's a use the needle nose pliers thing. Hold this up with your thummy, reach down, grab it. It will come to where you want it. Get in behind. Once it's behind back there, all you got to do is get her in. You got it right about the right level. You'll see her pop through there for me, I hope. There she comes. There she comes. Oh. That came out. Why'd you do that? Try this side maybe. See if we can get her to come in this one. No, it's got to be the other one first, man, because you got to pull the rod down, which means you need this pin to pull that rod down. It's got to be in that one. Once you get it all together, bingo, we're through. Look, I'll show you here. See the pin? Now we got to hook those two little clips on. And I like to use the needle nose because my fingers are frozen. Might be able to get, there we go, slipped that one on. It's not going to come back off. You can always squeeze them just a tad. You know it ain't going to come off. What I mean by squeeze them is you squeeze the tips. This one's a little kinkied. So what I'm going to do is put it bend side towards the flat. Click. CD on. Rotate that thing just a tad, because I don't like the way that is. I'm going to actually take that bend out if I can without losing the clip. There we go. Because I don't want it to catch on the metal. But carburetor. Spring action inside. That's what, see? So it should be working now. All back together except for float bolt. Here comes fun. Real special stuff. Float. They look old. They probably are. Holes, little big hole. Little big hole, did you catch that? Hey, it's almost like a little big man, huh? Now, check it out. That little hole has to go over this little nipple. So what you do is you just kind of set it on there. Center it up if you can. Because it's got to go. I see it in there. It ain't going. You really got to push it down. Now that it's down, I'm going to try to rotate it there a tad. It's not working. Don't want to screw it up. But it's on there. Work it back off. That way you know it'll go right back on. I'm a firm believer too in a little spit around the inside of that hole. It'll dry. Slips on easier too. Now, this little itty bitty gasket is what holds it in there. Goes over like that, covers that lip of that filter. This little glass piece, beautiful glass, very hard to get. You can get replacement bowls, but they're plastic. You find one of these, man, and it's worth some money. Now, it goes on there like that. That's all it is. See, that's all it's going to hold it. And this handy dandy little doodly bob here, it goes in each one of them little grooves, just like this. One there, one there, swings around to the bottom, has an adjuster screw, comes around, you center it up in the middle of your bowl, get your bowl centered up in what you think is the center of the whole thing there. You know, equal distance around the outside of the bowl to the outside of the inside of the metal is what you kind of want to get. You set that there, you screw her down, and you just make sure she's going to center up real nice. Looking good. See, now that you got a little bit more, now, what I mean by centered up all the way around, she looks good all the way around. I'm going to hold it in place, twist this down. I don't know how far. I ain't got no gas in it to stop the leak. But I'm going to screw it down until my fingers hurt and it don't screw no more. Well, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh she's tight. Or he, it's going on Johnny Be Good. I don't know why people call things he's and she's. Alright, so I've centered it up a little better in the coat. What I mean by centered it up, as best I could, it'll tighten it down. There it is. Everything's set. All I got to do now is Permatex that little gasket a little piece. Won't be fighting this thing no more. It's in there. Not going to come back off. See? Alright. Now, since I know we had moisture on the table all night, I am not going to set that carburetor on that table. Spare parts, old ones, ball bearings, garbage like that. You don't keep it. You don't need it. But I can set the carburetor right there and know that it's not going to get moisture on the bottom of this nice, beautiful surface. This is unbelievable. It's even got the number of the carburetor tag number on it. Match. Never been changed. There we go, man. That's a carburetor slap back together rebuild. And I'm going to cut you off here because it's me again, man. It's time. That took some time. Yeah.